Okay, so first thing is the Words of Power promo codes have all been used. And I want to take the time to thank everyone who has purchased or is planning on purchasing that product. May it bless you as much as it's blessed me in making it. Today we're going to be discussing the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, and why it's so important. So let's get into it. As above, so below. It's one of those maxims that almost everyone's heard, but yet few really understand its meaning. Although there are many meanings to as above, so below, but today we're going to focus on probably its greatest meaning. And I know that people don't fully understand it because of the way that they practice and pray. You know, we've heard that you have to send your intention out into the universe, and the universe will then receive that message and then send it back to you, and it can take a while, depending on how far it has to travel out there somewhere. And yet, this is all illusionary. The ones sending their intentions out into the universe, are they not themselves part of that universe? Is not everything in your environment part of that universe as well? See, there are no degrees of separation between you and the universe. The same forces that keep the planets in motion also keep the atoms in your body and in your environment in constant motion. As above, so below. The universe isn't trillions of light years away on the other side of the galaxy. Well, part of it is, but you're part of it too, and you're a lot closer. For those of you who interchange the word God for universe, can really have your minds blown when you change it back, because everything has a consciousness to it. Now you start to begin to understand why they say that God is omnipresent. Those little atoms have an electromagnetic field around it of consciousness. It's not like the consciousness that we have on our conscious side of our minds as living beings have, but it's more like the subconscious, which we said before is actually vastly superior to the conscious mind. However, it's also a bit more programmable. And this is why we're able to charge inanimate objects with those intentions to create talismans, amulets, charms of various kinds, wards. It's not just all up in your mind. It's the charge. You're charging that consciousness of that object. And certain materials are more programmable than others that hold a charge better. When you start to shift your perspective, and as we talked about before, everything begins with perspective. You'll begin to understand things such as nature spirits a lot better when you have this perspective. You also tend to get a newfound respect not only for other people and living organisms and animals, but for everything in your environment. For there are no degrees of separation between anything in your environment and the universe that you're calling upon. As above, so below. See, my printer agrees with me. And when weird coincidental environmental things like that will happen to you more and more as you have this perspective. Don't freak out and think, oh, my house is haunted, or, some mainstream misconception of such things. I've tried to hint at this before by explaining how omens work, how sometimes you'll see the same things over and over in your environment as the subconscious. The universal subconscious is trying to get a message through to you. When you get really attuned to this type of thing, you may not even need divination tools anymore. Your environment will tell you things. The same energies of the planets that you're calling upon are within you and everything in your environment. It's just that some are more dominant in certain things than others, which is why we use correspondences. We use the metal tin for Jupiter. Does that mean that tin is 100% Jupiter? No, it just means that Jupiter is more dominant in the material. So these forces are a lot closer to home than people give them credit for. You don't have to look up to the sky to call upon God. And if you do direct your prayers and your spells and your intentions far across out into the universe, well, no wonder it takes so long for it to get back to you. That's why it takes 3 months. Because what we're really talking about here is scale, okay? I've told you before that I've witnessed spontaneous healing. It wasn't by directing my intentions out there in the external across the universe. It was by directing my intentions to the atoms, the consciousness of the atoms themselves, of the afflicted part in question. It's not that much different than you charging up your charms, talismans, amulets. So there's your big clue for spontaneous healing. As above, so below. There's a lot less distance to travel. I mean, why do you think that the spirits can be called instantaneously to your aid, and they could be helping you, and they could be helping somebody else? Someone else could be evoking a spirit, and yet all the way across on the other side of the world, another person's invoking that same spirit, and they're both in the same place simultaneously. It's being here in this physical form and realm that creates this illusion of being somehow separate from the very forces that we're calling upon. It also goes back to another maxim, know thyself. It reminds me of that part in Empire Strikes Back when Luke was trying to get the X-Wing out of the swamp, and he said, I can't do it, it's too big. And Yoda said, no, it's no different, it's only different in your mind. But I wanted to do a little video on this because it's one of those things that people just don't seem to really grasp the full meaning of. I mean, it takes years a lot of times for people to figure this out, and many people never figure it out. And although I want to save you a bit of time in figuring it out, that it's something you're going to have to experience for yourself, to have firsthand knowledge of, especially with the spontaneous healing. Once you experience that, there is no doubt. And you'll also learn why it's so important to keep your environment clean and uncluttered. As above, so below. You can call upon the forces of the planets above, or you can call upon the forces of the atom below. The energies contained within are the same. We're all made of the same stuff, same energies. This is why I can have such phenomenal results with a client halfway around the world who came to me as her, quote, last hope, as she put it, and rock her world all the way over there in Kuwait while I'm over here in the States. There are no degrees of separation. Planets above, atoms below, and we're in the middle. As they put it in Lord of the Rings, we're at Middle Earth. So yes, call upon Jupiter, call upon Venus, call upon God, whoever you're still calling upon, but don't think of them as somewhere out there. If you focus your energy way out there, it may take a little bit for them to get back to you. Know that these things are omnipresent. These energies and intelligences are omnipresent. They are with you all the time. And with that said, I'm going to have to maintain at least a little bit of the illusion of separation and end this video. And I will see you next time. Take care.